Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Make Every Second Count Live. With me, your host and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker. Now, this is a show where we help you through things that you are going in life because I know personally that each and every person out there goes through something. You see, my story was when I was 17, I went through a traumatic car accident. I spent 3.5 months in the hospital and 2.5 in a coma. I wasn't supposed to walk again, but here I am now. And I just want to show each and every one of you that you can be living your best life. It's nothing that's impossible, it is very possible. So, I ask you if you would please share this video out, invite all kinds of people to watch it. Make sure you give us all kinds of thumbs up, hearts, and make sure you also subscribe to me so you don't miss another episode of Make Every Second Count Live. And make sure you keep the comments coming in because we love a good conversation. And don't be afraid to ask as many questions as you would like. But with no further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Michelle. Hi, Michelle. How are you doing this evening?
Hi, Jeff. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. I'm so glad that you took the time out of your busy evening to be here with me and my viewers. I'm so excited to hear a little bit more about you. So, if you would like to take a few minutes and give your short introduction, I am going to be inviting a few people on my phone so they know to watch.
Awesome. Well, my name is Michelle Steiner, and I'm a disability writer, photographer, and advocate and teacher's aide. I have my own blog called Michelle's Mission, where I share blog articles and photography. And I love helping out other people that have disabilities just to be able to connect with them and to be able to encourage them and to be able to empower them. I also live in Pennsylvania with my husband and our two cats, Jack and Sparrow.
Two cats.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to get dogs. You're gonna have to just
Oh,
get rid of the cats.
I grew up with dogs. I like dogs too. Yeah.
And, well, I definitely cannot blame you for that because I'm a dog person. I don't have any of my own, but
Mhm.
I know that a lot of people are cat people. A lot of
Right.
people are dog people. So I I don't know. It's a little strange that
Mhm.
some people don't like dogs, some people don't like cats.
Right.
It's all part of life, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's all part of what you like and it can change. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking a little bit about the fact that everybody goes through something in life.
Mhm.
Now, when I say go through something, I don't mean that they really go through something because we don't just go through it, we have to grow through it.
Yep.
And I believe that is important. And with social media, we often see the highlight reel that somebody wants to put out, that somebody wants to show the world. And life isn't like that. Each of us have our own problems, own adversities that we face, and I like to show each and every person that people have those things. They might have their life all together, but they still have issues.
Agreed.
So, has there been anything that you have had to grow through?
Yes, I've had to grow through with having a learning disability. I was diagnosed with having one whenever I was in kindergarten. I have dyscalculia, which is a math learning disability, but they didn't call it that whenever I was in school. It was just more of an umbrella term. Oh, you have a learning disability. I also have visual perception, which is in my brain, not in my eyes. And I have limited hand dexterity that they didn't find out about until I was an adult.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did they not diagnose them in school? Were they not noticeable, or did you struggle with the math, as you say?
Right. Well, we knew that math was the big thing. It was pretty clear I wasn't going to be a mathematician when I was a little, from the time I was a little girl. But I think it's our knowledge of learning disabilities has grown, and the therapies that they do when they're in school, that has also changed too. For how we treat them and just some different strategies. And I don't think people knew a whole lot about learning disabilities. When I was diagnosed, we had just had legislation passed a couple years prior that guaranteed that people with disabilities could be receiving services, and learning disabilities counted as one of those. But there's a lot of people that slip through the cracks, and I think it was pretty good. I was an only child, so I had a lot of adult interaction. So I think my teachers, they noticed I was really frustrated, and I couldn't hide the fact I had a disability.
Yeah. Now, you see, I don't like that word. Now, I'm not saying you're in the wrong for using it or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, that word is a limiting belief, because I think like this. All right, so do you play any musical instruments?
I'm not talented in that area either.
So what is it that you like to do?
I like to read and I like to write.
All right, are you a good writer?
I believe I'm a decent writer.
Well, I'm not a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a disability of mine?
I don't believe necessarily it's a disability, because everybody, even with a learning disability, people have things that they're good at, things that they're not good at. I've had a lot of peers and learning support that they weren't great with writing, but they could do math better than I could. So, yeah, I hear where you're saying though too, because the term, a lot of people hear that and they hear learning disability and they think, oh, you can't learn. And the truth is, I can learn.
You
It's
just
just
learn it in a different way.
right. And as my dad has said, they just haven't figured out a good way to teach you math yet.
Yes, that's why I like when people say disability. I
Mm-hmm.
like to always say to them, it's not a disability though. It's a different ability, because disability means that you can't do it. You are not capable of doing it. And you're capable of doing things, just not some things.
Right.
So I
Exactly.
think they're
Mm-hmm.
different abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long did the learning different ability, or disability, as you call it, affect you, and how did it make you feel?
Well, when I was in school, the thing that really it was definitely math, and learning in general was really hard because I can remember simple things like tying my shoes and trying to do well on a test. I would study for it and I wouldn't do well, and just like dot to dot pages were really hard for me, and I would be really frustrated because all I wanted to do was learn, make my parents proud, even though they were always proud of me. Uh, and happy with me. I wanted to make them happy, wanted to make my teachers happy. And it just seemed like I couldn't do it. And I thought that life was always going to be really hard, and that I just couldn't learn because of having this disability. And school was also hard socially too. I went to a very small school in a conservative district that didn't really value diversity. And I was different because of it. And the bullying started pretty early in my life. So that was really difficult in the beginning, socially and academically.
Wow. And did other people treat you differently with your difficulty in learning?
I had pretty much, I mean, I had classes that I went to for learning support. So I did get a lot of that taken care of. I had, my peers treated me differently because it was hard to relate because most of my peers that were in learning support, they struggled with reading and writing, and I've had math difficulties. So they didn't think I was smart. And then my regular ed peers didn't think I was either. So it was hard to really find my place with that. And that got harder as I got older. But when I got older in school, though, that's when a lot of times we were doing my transition planning. That some of my teachers treated me a little bit differently. I had one teacher that told me that she didn't think I could go to college because of having a learning disability.
Wow. That has to be tough because I know I have had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people tell me in life that there's things that I'm not going to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, like I said earlier, they told me that I wouldn't be walking,
Wow.
and I'm walking now.
Yeah.
You see, I think that just because someone tells you you're not going to be able to do it, we have to push and test our own limits. We
Mm-hmm.
we set our own limits on us. We're the only person that can truly hold us back in the world. And that is just something that I have learned through my recovery and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so true. And for me, it's finding the right program because I had a psychiatrist right before I went into college after graduation, and I'm not a great test taker on top of everything. And they said, you're most likely not going to go beyond community college. And people told me I had limited job choices. And I was able to go and get my bachelor's degree and have the job that I wanted. It was everything in my life has just been finding the right program and finding a way to do something.
Congrats on your bachelor's. That's pretty amazing. I like the fact that people told you you weren't going to be able to, and then you did it anyways.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say. If people are going to tell us that we can't do something, you don't have to believe it. They can believe it all they want, but you go out and do it anyways. You show
Yeah.
them they are wrong. And do you think you have helped teach those people that learning disability isn't really a disability? It's more of a different ability.
Right. A lot of times, what I will do is when I work with my students in the school, I first of all, they know do not ask me for help with math. They know that that's just not my cup of tea. And I have a staff that's really supportive with that. And we work as a team. And what's really nice is a lot of the colleagues I work with are great with math. So I get the reading, the English, the spelling, and I work with a lot of students that have disabilities. And last year I worked with a student that students last year in seventh grade. So a lot of times it was like, here we are recording on myself at that age. I hate my learning disability. I hate my IEP. And I get that chance to tell them it's okay that you have an IEP and your brain just learns differently. And I get to show them how to advocate for themselves. And a lot of times we'll have a scared student that uh, needs help with doing something and they're afraid to ask. And I get that chance to go and say, well, this is how we ask for help. This is the right way to do this. And we get that also that chance too to go over things with them. And it's just amazing to take them to this place where they're doubtful and into the place where they're learning about they're more confident. I've always used this and out with spelling words. We start on Monday and I get these kids, man, I don't want to do this. I can't spell. I can't do all this. And every day they get a little bit better. And then by Friday, when they take the test, they'll come in, they'll say, I got an 8 out of 10, or I got 100%. And that just gives me that, that bit of happiness that I was able to do that for them and to take them to that place. And just you can see the confidence building in them. And that just means everything to me.
That is amazing. But for people, I know what it is, but
Mhm.
for people out there that might not have any idea what IEP is, can you explain that a little bit?
Sure, my apologies.
Oh, you're all
um,
right.
an IEP is an individual education plan, and a student that is diagnosed with a disability or under our 13 different categories receives a specific thing with goals and what they're going to do and how we're going to help them with their disability. If a student doesn't qualify for an IEP, but they have another health impairment, then we do have a 504 plan that they can go through where it's not necessarily the goals, but we do have a plan for a student that if the need arises.
Well, that is cool. Now, how exactly do you figure out if that need is there, especially if there's not really a person that can diagnose all, well, some learning disabilities.
Right. A lot of times a kid is diagnosed with a learning disability, autism, ADHD, with our school psychologists. They can do that. They can also do other agencies with providers outside of school to get that diagnosis. And sometimes we might even have a kid that might come in, they might have asthma or they might have diabetes. And they have to have certain medications, and we have to know what to do if they go into things like that will happen. So there's different ways that a parent can come in, but it has to be done by a professional to state what the issue is.
Yeah, now let's say there's somebody out there dealing with a difficulty learning. I mean, Robert Shallow says here in the comments that I had difficulty comprehending math and
Mhm.
reading in school, but there was nothing done with it because that was back in the 80s. You were just graded on the work you did. And like, how would you suggest that a person go about that? Because don't, people don't, are too proud. They're
Right,
full of themselves. They don't want to go up and ask for help necessarily.
right.
So, how can they do that?
Well, one thing in the United States, there is a program called vocational rehabilitation, Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, OVR for short. It's a federally funded program. If you call them up as an adult, they even go into schools for kids who are transitioning into adulthood. They will pay for any testing. If you go in, you make an appointment with them. You talk about like some things you're having difficulties with, and what your plan is for your life. I know mine was they knew I had a learning disability and I wanted to go to college, and they started doing that my junior year. But you can even go in as an adult and they go through everything and they pay for all your testing, and they can determine, do you have a learning disability? Do you have autism? If that's what they're testing on. I've done with the driver's license evaluation years ago where it wasn't determined that it was in my best interest to drive. But all that is paid for, and they can help you with, if you want to, let's say you want to go to college or you want to go to a trade school or get a job, they can help pay for college. I know that I was able to graduate debt free with OVR and some other state funds. And sometimes they can help with job assistance and placement and just figuring out what those next steps are based upon what the results are.
Cool. Hey, I just want to say hi to Devin Curtis, to Robert Shallow, and Dora Sherry. Thank you guys so much for watching. Devin says this is the first time he is watching the show. And Jessica Gregory just came in and she is saying, hey there. So it's good to see you guys tonight. I look forward to talking to you more, Jessica. And Robert, thank you so much for joining in. I know Jack is named after Jack
Yeah.
Sparrow. He said that in the comments, so that's pretty cool. But so, how How did this affect you mentally? I mean, we know that now. I don't know about in these days or in those days that people were really suffering as much with the mental health
Right.
issues that we are today. So, but how would you say that affected your mental health?
I think that the way that it affected my mental health was I didn't view myself in a positive way. I thought for so many years it was all about what I couldn't do, and not feeling complete, and not feeling that I was good enough, and just buying it and being very fearful at times. Hey, I wonder how my life is going to turn out. And I honestly think a lot of the reason why I have been successful and with a lot of things is having that support with my family, also having the support with my friends. Sometimes, especially when I was in school, they couldn't help if I was struggling in a class, or if or with a professor, or if I just couldn't get math, but they could be a friend to me. And sometimes that was just the real blessing, was just having that friend in there that they could be that support, and they could just kind of give you that encouragement to go on. And then my family as well, they understood what my disability was, and they advocated for me. And I also think a lot of what helped my mental health was definitely finding those things that I love to do with reading and writing, and I love to work out, and that was another thing too that helped. And I think it was also just having that encouragement to go and research and find programs that were going to be helpful, because that's when I really started changing a lot of my perspective, is whenever I was at university in my late 20s, and I found out if I'm in the right program, I can do college and I can do well. I can make Dean's List. I can do all those things if I'm in the right program. If it's not going to be the right one, then it's going to be a real struggle for me. But it was a lot of that.
That's great. All right. What would you suggest for people that are dealing with mental health issues at the moment?
I would tell somebody, if, to definitely reach out to somebody to get help, a professional, if you're really struggling with that and things just aren't getting any better, to definitely reach out for that. But to also support with family, with friends, and with a lot of things that you love to do to bring you that joy and that happiness as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you were talking about writing some.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit of what you write, and then maybe other people want to read that, so how can they find it and read it?
Sure. I write a lot of disability articles on life with a learning disability, and I try to give metaphors so people can understand them. I I can remember writing has always been healing for me. It's one of the first things in my life that I found that I was good at. I can remember writing a story about a dinosaur when I was in second or third grade, and my dad said, "Yeah, this is pretty good," and that just gave me some confidence to be like, "Oh, I can do something that I love." And my dad always read to me, and I can remember I was in a writers group, and I had a friend that told me, "You should really write about having a learning disability." And I thought, "Oh, this is really personal. I don't know if I really want to share this much." And I think I wrote some bad poetry instead. And but when I finally wrote about having a learning disability and I got that first article published, it was another healing thing that I did as well. In fact, I think it was the most healing thing I ever did, because it gave me a voice. And I got other disability articles published, and I started to place them on my blog called Michelle's Mission. Uh, and I can put that in the notes for anybody that wants to find me. I just started another one. And on my blog,
Yes, please
yeah,
do that.
yes, I will definitely do that. And I just, I write about, yeah, michellesmission.net. And I just started writing about having that, and it just helped me out a lot. And I also post my photography. A lot of
Wow.
people tell me, yeah, that I bring out details in a flower that other people will miss. And sometimes I've noticed that that's part of having the disability. I I'm not able to drive because of my disability, but I'll be in the car with my husband, who's great for taking me places. And we also live in a central location, but I'm in the car with my husband. I'll say, "Did you see that?" And he's like, "No, I'm paying attention to the road," as he should be. And
Yeah.
I'll be able to see things that I wouldn't have gotten if I was in the driver's seat. And then I'll get that chance later to go back if I'm on a walk or I don't have a ride. And I get that chance to take the picture of a flower and I get to post it on my blog or on Facebook or other social media. And that helps too. And I try to relate a lot of nature metaphors to having a learning disability to be able to explain what that is and what that means and just how we can help other people that might have them.
Yes, that is one amazing analogy, I guess. Well, that you use the flower to relate to the learning disability. But Michelle's what.net? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. michellesmission.net.
All right, so hang on. I'm not the greatest at typing either, so
That's okay. And I will put that in there because, I mean, yeah.
all right, so michellesmission.net.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, cool. I'm glad I got that. So is that where your blog is at?
Yes, that's where my blog is.
All right. And is there any do you have any books or anything? I mean,
Yes, actually, I got 3 stories published in an anthology called
wow.
Rediscovering Your Story, and that's available on Amazon too. And I can put the link in the show notes for that.
All right, awesome. I really appreciate that. But I need you and everybody out there to do
Mm-hmm.
me a favor
Okay.
this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. I need you to make every second count.
Right.
Why? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life.
That's
I'll
right.
see you guys back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, have a great week. Thanks again, Michelle.
Oh, thank you, Jeff.